Today I'm going to teach you how to handle cards like a pro. I'm going to teach you how to spin a card on one finger, how to flick a card back to the deck, and how to cut the deck with one hand. You can use these in your Magic to add a little flair, or you can just play around with them as fidget moves because they are fun to play with. Now, what I don't want you to do is if you practice these like a couple of times and then you can't get it and you say, oh, I can't do it as good as JS Magic, I give up. I just want you to know that when you see me perform these, there's over 10 years of failure, 10 years of frustration, 10 years of never giving up, and of course, 10 years of practice to get it to the point where I got it. So all you need to do is practice, 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 not give up when you get frustrated, because eventually you will get it. I promise you. So grab a deck of cards, follow along, and let's get you doing these. The first thing I'm going to do is teach you how to spin a card on one finger. What you want to do is pinch the card in between your middle finger and your thumb. Your pointer finger curls underneath. You just want to have it touch the card, extend it, and then bring it back. And you want to get used to this motion because this is what's going to help us spin the card. Now, you don't have to put too much pressure with the thumb and the middle finger because just by friction, the oils on your hands, and just because it's in the center, it should balance good enough. It should just wobble. Because what you're going to do is after your finger extends and pulls back, your thumb's going to lift. And what that's going to cause is the card to spin. So you see my pointer finger, I extend it, and then I pull it back. I lift my thumb, and it will spin on my fingertip. This is just pretty much how you want to get it at first. You just want to go around a few times because you want to find the sweet spot for you where you can get the card to spin for a while. One thing I want to point out when I get it to spin for a long time, I was talking about sweet spots. I'm going to show you pretty much what I call my sweet spot when I do this to know it will spin for a while, is I'm not spinning it on the tip of my finger. So I'm not having my finger flat and then it in the center of the card. My finger's at like an angle. I'm pretty much spinning it where the nail meets the skin, this part right here. And I line that up with the center, and it gives me a really good spin. And after you've practiced this for a while, you'll be able to spin it and then keep it going for a little longer by just moving your hand in like small circular motions to help with the momentum. Kind of like when you're trying to balance an umbrella or something on your hand and it starts to tip over, so you move your hand. That's pretty much what I'm doing to get like a good spin, a long spin. Just moving around a little bit. And as you can see, every time I spin it, it's not always perfect. So one thing I want to recommend is when you spin it, is to open your hand. So right away when I spin it, I'd relax all my fingers and my middle finger goes up. And it kind of gives it like a platform. Instead of keeping it like this and my hand curled up into a C, because so much can go wrong here. It can hit, like you just saw, it can hit there. So I spin it and then I open my hand. And you see, it just spins. So that's it, guys. I mean, it's pretty easy to, I guess, understand because all you're doing is holding it like this. This finger is going forward and then back. You're lifting your thumb and it should spin. Just practice this over and over and over again, and eventually you will get it. So now I'm going to show you how to flick a card back to the deck. What you want to do is hold the card just like this. If you hold the card with the back facing the deck, when you flick it, it will land face down. If you do the face facing the cards, when you flick it, it will land face up. You hold the cards in your left hand, hold the card in your right hand. The opposite for you, vice versa. You put the thumb and middle finger holding on the long edges, and then you have your pointer finger curled behind. It extends so the cards bow. What I do is I hold the deck in my left hand in mechanics grip, and I don't hold it flat. I tilt it a little bit towards the card in my right hand. I raise the card in my right hand just slightly above it. Then all that's happened is because it's bowed, my thumb is going to pull back, and that's pretty much going to cause it to flip and land on the deck. In slow motion, what's happening is after you pull back with your thumb, it's going to flick, go face up. It's going to hit the deck. Because your fingers are here, it's going to hit it and land. Now, with practice, you'll be able to get it every time. At first, you're probably going to fall short, probably going to overshoot, probably do it a couple of crazy ways. But of course, with practice, you'll be able to get it. It's not as hard as it looks. This is probably one of the easiest things I will ever teach you. So again, hold the card just like that. You want to hold the deck in a deep grip, not really elevated, because the deeper you have it, these fingers will help you stop the card so it won't slide off after it hits. So hold the card just like this. The pointer finger pushes so it bows. The thumb pulls back and it will shoot off and it will land on the deck. And with practice, you'll be able to get it very easy and you won't even need to look eventually. You'll just know how far you have to go, how much pressure you have to put, and when to do it. The last thing I'm going to teach you is the one-handed cut, the Charlier cut, which looks like this. It's a lot easier than you think. So you want to hold the deck in elevated mechanics grip. So there's a lot of space here, so you can have the packet fall. I have my pointer finger at the top, my pinky at the bottom, the middle finger and the ring finger at this long edge, the thumb here. The thumb's not really doing nothing. The deck is supported by these fingers. But what it does is when it contacts the deck, it's holding half of the deck. And what happens is I release with this finger, and that causes the cards to fall because they're not being held by anything. And because the thumb is contacting some of the top cards, it's going to hold those in place, or else this would happen. The whole thing would fall. So without my thumb, everything falls. With my thumb there, only some fall. And once that happens, this finger goes under, contacts the corner. Again, everything's still contact. All my fingers are contacted. It starts to push up. And notice I have two fingers here and a pinky here, and that's supporting it so it doesn't fall. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where your thumb has to release, but that's okay because this packet is holding that. And then eventually, you're going to keep pulling in with your pointer finger, and that's going to clear, and it's going to fall. And then you just close your hand. Now, what's going to happen with you a bunch of times is this going to happen. That packet is just going to fall because you're not going to have enough control over it. But that's where practice comes in. My fingers are in these exact positions for a reason. Try to copy what I do or try to find a way that's comfortable for you because I'm sure you could do it without the pinky at the bottom. For some reason, everything I do, my pinky's always at the bottom. Again, you're holding it in an elevated mechanics grip. You release pressure. The thumb is holding the top pack. The pointer finger goes, contacts the corner, starts pushing. The thumb comes away, but it's still, held up by this pack and the fingers. And then you just keep going till it clears, and then you close your hand. And you've just done a one-handed cut. The reason I taught you these three specifically is because I like to use them when I'm just playing with the cards fidgeting, and it looks like this usually. So you see I do it all at once. So you can call this like a super practice. You spin the card, you do a one-handed cut, and you do the flick. I wouldn't say split your attention at first, but you can try to spin the card and practice the one-handed cut at the same time. And then eventually you could practice doing them all at the same time. That's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got something out of it. If you like these, take the time out to practice them. You'll have a lot of fun incorporating it into your magic or just fiddling around with them like I do. If you want to help support this channel or JS Magic, consider checking out some merch. It's on Illusion t-shirt or hoodie. Or you could check out the Patreon where I teach magic tricks, methods, sleights, how to deal with hecklers, mess up and recoveries, and all that good stuff. Pretty much my experience trying to get you to become the best magician you can and get out there with confidence to start performing as quick as possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.